seems a man of many skills, a rare combination.
Hello everyone, this is Haji Yussuf with Meanwhile. I am lucky enough today to have with me Representative Mohamud Noor, representing the area we're just driving off from, and we're going to have this great talk about many things and projects, and among them is the opioid and overdose crisis in the Somali youth and the Somali community, and how we're responding to it. How is he as a state representative responding to it, and what is his relationship with the community, and how long. We're going to start off with Honorable, I call him Honorable, State Representative Mohamud Noor. Welcome to my show. Let's ride.
Oh, thank you so much, Haji, for having me, and thank you for coming to my district, which is District 60B. That is in the heart of the Somali community, as you've just talked about. We are right now in Cedar area, but it's also part of a wider area. The entire University of Minnesota is in my district, and so that means up to the southeast Como area. So I've got a diverse communities in one district, and this is really fortunate for us to have the institutions in our district, including the healthcare system. So I'm glad to have you, in my district. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I just wanted to, and by the way, Mohamud is directing me where we're going. We're headed to one of the projects that he wants to really share with the community here, and I think it's very important. So when you see him giving me direction, don't worry about it. It's just direction I'm getting. Representative Mohamud Noor, there's an issue, there's a crisis, and I know you are very much involved, you're very much in it, and that is the opioid overdose crisis among the Somali youth and the Somali community. It seems like there's a small response, there's a slow response to this crisis, or do you feel different?
I think this is something that we're experiencing not only within the Somali community, but also the entire state and also nation. It's a pandemic. We've got an opioid pandemic. It's something that a crisis that we're seeing in many communities in our state. So for the Somali community, it is becoming a well-known phenomenon right now, because we're losing so many young people. We're losing the future generation for our state. So that means we have to wake up and understand how can we really tackle it. Where we're working right now, driving through, is part of the M Health, which is a great healthcare institutions. That shows that we do have the response, we do have the resources to do the work that is necessary. Quite frankly, last year we passed the Opioid Pandemic Council, which was supposed to deal with this issue head on by charging the pharmacies who are selling or creating the opium.
The pharmaceutical industry. And
absolutely.
Because they were pushing back before you guys came in, and they were using lobbyists to
block anything that will create a revenue resources, because you need dedicated resources. So by ensuring that we do have the resources to fight against this epidemic is something that we put forward, and we succeeded. And I think there's some organization within the community who are working with the Department of Human Services to implement some significant changes. It's going to take a long time. This is not one person's role. It's not, elected official, or is it organizational issue? No, it's not. This is a community issue that we all need to come together and really address it. I think many folks will say it's your responsibility. It's not. It's our responsibility. And if we abandon that responsibility, the chaos and the situation that we're in will never end. So we have to come up with a significant proposal in terms of bringing our communities together, understanding how we can tackle this. And quite frankly, we are new to this process when it comes to how do we advocate for our community when it comes to pandemic. How do we really address this issue in a significant way? And that has been a major problem throughout the process. So I think we will come up to a place where we can really address some of the challenges together.
Anytime we get where we're going, it's okay. You can tell me. This is a podcast, a conversational, thing. So
Quite
it's
frankly,
not-
it's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful
as
day,
you
and
can see.
it's a beautiful. It's right. We're driving right along the Mississippi on the other side of University of Minnesota.
This is right next to, the community that's in Riverside, along the river. This is the Riverside that we're moving on right now. I think we can stay here. The roads are closed. My
Up
intention
ahead,
was
yes,
to.
yes. Show me this bridge that you wanted.
I think we may not be able to get to,
We
but
can walk there. I think we can, so we can check it. Hopefully we can. Is it too far? We can walk.
slightly further.
Okay.
So let's just have the conversation about
Okay,
the
excellent,
opioid crisis.
So there is two part of you.
Mhm.
There is the Mohamud Noor, who is the state representative,
Right.
that represents a diverse district.
Mhm.
That is representation of what this community is. And then there is the Mohamud Noor, who is also part of the community that has also been affected by this crisis, opioid. So let's talk about the Mohamud Noor of the community. Do you think our community is doing enough to get ahead of this crisis? And what advice would you give them if that is not the case? And if it's the case, then what other advice do you have to offer them as well?
So quite frankly, I cannot separate the Mohamud Noor who I am from the politician
Right,
or the
right.
representative of
Right,
the community,
excellent.
because it's all
Connected.
connected. It's
Okay.
me and the same person.
Right.
But I feel the pain, as a parent, as a father.
And that's what I wanted, actually. That was my point. As
Right.
a father, that's what I
Right,
wanted
absolutely.
to say. Well, as a parent,
I'm
as a
good.
father, as a community, that's what
Right.
I exactly meant.
I've got two teenagers right now. One is in high school, the other one is in middle school. That means I feel the pain many parents are feeling. I understand their challenges because they need to be able to connect with their kids. And we haven't done enough as a community. We haven't done enough to really close this issue, where we are talking about this issue right now as a crisis in our community. When you have no opportunity for those young people, when they're being pulled in by their peers to start doing things that they've never experienced. Fentanyl is something new to us. It's something new. So that means that we are struggling, we as a community, to understand. We're struggling how we respond to this issue. We're struggling to find a significant measure that will create the solution that we're looking for. So we've got a long way. We are not addressing this challenge, and that means it's a problem for me. It's a problem for all of us. So when I talk about the problem, you have to analyze, where do we want to go? How do we reach out to the young people, those who are right now on the streets, those who are struggling, those who are losing? You have to divide from the initial understanding of trying to help those who are already further, deep into the crisis. And for how do we do the prevention, the intervention at the early stage? How do we engage the parents so they can understand how to talk to their kids? There's that cultural shift, that change, that stigma. So many things layered, putting us in trouble in terms of comprehending the situation we are in.
You mentioned opportunities should be in place for some of this youth so they don't have free time to
Mhm.
indulge in other things. I've lived here for 20 years, and from my experience, and I don't know, maybe your experience might be different. Do you think we put up the right infrastructure in place to deal with the crisis that we're dealing with right now? And if not, of yes,
Mhm.
then where do we move on from here?
We're doing some incremental. We've started in addressing it and making sure that people are aware of, the parents are aware of, the mosques are opening up to having that conversation. So it's a right step in the right direction. But have we tackled this problem? Absolutely not. Are we going to tackle it in one day? No. It's going to take a long effort, sustainable effort, which I think as we head into this pandemic, into this right now economic hardship, we're going to have some struggles. Getting out of this will need a lot of efforts, economic resources to address the challenge. It require financing, it require resources. When you've got almost $5 billion deficit at the state level, you're looking at a problem that will exacerbate what we already know. We know the disparities that exist in our
Big
state,
disparity.
in education, in housing. When you have got many young people living in a small area in my district and other places, with young kids who don't have a place to go play, although we need to create another avenue by just bringing them down here so they can have a place where they can enjoy, feel that they belong. And those opportunities, by giving them jobs, the trainings that they need, and people to buy homes so that they can feel that they can, stay together, as a family stays together, we see a significant change. People are moving out from the Twin Cities to go to the suburbs, but that's not even solving the problem, because we've seen so many young people who come from the suburbs who are coming to the Twin Cities, or even in their homes, who are overdosing. So the problem is not just living in the Twin Cities, it's an inherent problem that if you are going to take care of your own kid and say, well, I'm going to be okay, you are not going to be okay. The problem is going to follow you wherever you go. So
you can't outrun it.
Absolutely.
There's some things you cannot outrun no matter what you do,
Mhm.
because you live among people, you live among
Absolutely.
communities, you live about different people. I want to ask you one question, which is, I think, is always in my mind. Apart from, the state level helping and pushing resources
Mhm.
because of this disparity, right?
Mhm.
As a community that has recently come here, very successful, established good businesses,
Mhm.
good communities, good neighborhoods. What is their role in fighting this?
It's huge. I know some people will say it's the government's role. It's not the government's role to address the problems in the community. It's the community's role to address the problems that we're facing. With all the businesses that most of them are thriving, doing a good job, it's their responsibility, our responsibility, to come to the table, to come up with a plan. Because if you don't plan, you are failing everybody else. And that planning means that we have to bring everybody to the table, not business as usual, but with a vision to once and for all create a center that will address the youth issues. Create a place whereby we can start taking those young people who are struggling in a culture appropriate. It doesn't mean that we don't have the resource from the state. We have to start from somewhere. You have to show we have got this amount of resources. We're asking you to complete a project that will help the young people who are struggling on the streets, bring them in, help them so that they can, you can help them so that they can win out of the overdose or the problems that they've had with the opioid. But we cannot solve it if we don't have the institutions, if we don't have the systems, if we don't have the infrastructure. And if you tell me today there's a solution that has been carved out and the community is ready to fund this project, I'm going to put whatever it takes to make sure that at least a half, if not 2/3 of that project that I'm going to take upon myself to complete it. It's ready to go. But what we're missing is the sincere investment from our community. Sincere. I've served in a non-profit organization. It is really troublesome.
I know you've worked in this community for a long time.
So
your involvement is not, you became a leader not because you were elected, you were a leader before then because you were very much involved.
So what
and
is,
I know that, and I witnessed that, and I've seen that, and this is some of the answers
right.
that you have, and the experience that you have, that you're in a
Right.
position where you are in position right now, and this is the why I'm asking this question.
There's lack of investment from the business owner. There's lack of investment for those who are doing so well while watching on the sideline while the community is suffering. So I think it's a wake-up call. What have they done? What have they done to address this issue? If you own a business, you do have a stake in this process. If we fail all of us together. It's not one person, that one kid. That is your kid.
It's a community failure.
Absolutely.
So the picture is that, that community is...
We don't even talk about the young girls who are struggling in their homes. And their parents are ashamed to really come out and say, look, I can't handle this. I need your help. I know there's some community members who are on the front lines trying to help them so that they can find them the resource that they need. They can guide them in that process. And quite frankly, this is not something to be ashamed of. This is a struggle that we have to confront head on. And I think this is now going to be saying it's your responsibility. It's not a single person, as I said. So I think the significant disinvestment, not only coming from the government, but also coming from ourselves, is something that we have to address.
And I'm going to, again, address this before I have addressed it with other people that I've spoken with on this car and the same interview.
Right.
Other communities that have come here and established themselves, they put in place, like what you're just talking about.
Absolutely.
Social programs, social structures in place. So they will have a church that has, after school programs, they'll have even lunch and food, for those in the community that have a need for it. They will have a place where kids can play basketball.
Sure.
Or can really spend time. So apart from businesses that we spoke about, do you think our faith and our mosques and our faith-based organization can also play a role in this.
It is all.
And it should be.
All hands on the decks. You cannot take out any portion of the community that makes the fabric of the community. Whether it's the religious organization, whether it's the young people who are well off, educated, who are professionals, which we have a significant number of professionals in the state. When we do have businesses who are thriving and doing so well, and also being, showing as an example. When we have more than 10 individuals who are right now in elected office, for example, when you look at when you live in Phelps neighborhood, which is also a significant number of many communities, from Congress to the park board, you're represented by someone who's a Somali. So we do have the political will. We do have the power to come together to really address this issue once and for all. But at least we have to come to the table knowing that it's not going to be one person's duty. It's not going to be something that can be addressed by a few individuals. It has to be all of us addressing it.
Yeah, it has to be a multi-pronged role to everybody wants to play. And but so now that's the question now. So you as a leader, our Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Hodan Hassan, AK Hassan, our newly elected councilman Jamal Osman, among many other leaders that are represented. How do you take initiative? I mean, I know you're taking the initiative. I know you guys are there, but how do you really forcefully get this out so that there is a multi,
pronged
approach and many other connecting with everyone else so that they can be in the same page in fighting this issue.
Right. So if you look from that perspective, we've already created a coalition of elected officials. From my perspective, now we're starting to have the conversation. How can we really tackle this issue in a way that we don't have to keep on repeating the same thing over and over, trying to find a solution based on discussions that we've had a million times? If we're not going anywhere, we're failing. So that means we need to change the conversation. We need to change the approach. And we're going to do that. And I think this is the time. I think as soon as this election cycle, which is now starting within a few days or so, that means people have to react quickly and forcefully for us to come to a solution. So yes, we're going to do that, but no, we're not going to solve it by one individual or one group.
It has to be everyone on deck, like you said. That's a very good, important thing to say. The other thing I really wanted to really hit on is that you face a lot of resistance at the House from the other party.
Correct.
If there is any resources that is either directed towards people of color, you face resistance on issues that are important to your community and on our communities in the state of Minnesota. Where do you see? I mean, why is it? Do you feel it's important for people to come out and vote and be participant in this upcoming election? And why is that important?
Let me tell you this. There's never been any election as important as the upcoming one. For our community, for our future, for our state, for our nation. If you don't show up to vote, it's not that you are protesting about voting, that you're not getting anything. It's a surrender. You're surrendering your right. For this year, it is as critical as anything. It's between life and death. So that means if we want to succeed as a people, if we want to succeed as a community, we will have to stand up. We will have to fight and make sure that everybody who's a U.S. citizen votes. And the way that I see right now, even the state of Minnesota is up for grabs.
Yeah, it's a purple.
It's
trending. Yes. Yeah,
when you see the president investing his resources here, when you see the vice president coming here, it is going to be a difficult moment if we lose everything in our state. I don't want to be in the minority. Right now, in the majority, we're struggling to get anything done because we do have the only divided government. And quite frankly, our community can have a significant say who represents us at the Capitol, who represents us in at the Congress. And we will have to really bring some change coming from different directions. And that will be the best option that we have.
Community and participation and having this network of people that are going to make a difference, it's a big deal. And I
Yes.
think people should know about that. And this election, it is also a very big deal.
Mhm.
Mohamud Noor, there is people ask questions.
Right.
And this district is, I think it's a future. It's a future district. The way I look at it, like you said, there's a lot of institutions here.
Mhm.
There's a lot of opportunity
Right.
here. The Viking Stadium is not far from here.
Mhm.
Downtown is like a rock throw or stone throw away.
Mhm.
What do you see the future of this part of your district? And what do you see the
Envision.
opportunity?
So when it comes to the economic hardship that we're facing, the poverty that we see in our community, it's something huge that needs to be addressed immediately. When you look at the housing opportunity in terms of getting our communities to become homeowners and become part of the fabric of this area and other places in our state, it's something that is really crucial. But overall, I think we're very close to reaching our goals, but it's going to take a lot of us coming together. I have to become a generalist. I have to address
Right.
the things that we're facing every single day. We are being impacted significantly by COVID-19. We've
Well,
lost a
that's
lot
a
of
lot,
community
yes.
members.
Yes.
And then we've got the opioid pandemic on the other side. We've got the economic hardship many people have lost. We are also the essential workers throughout the state. We're risking our life to really address some of these issues. So it's going to be tough just to be sitting on the sideline knowing that it's going to take all of us solving many problems that we face as a society.
And you play an important role in this.
As much as I can.
Yes.
And I think we're going to be more, straightforward to each other and tell people we are in this together and we'll get out of this together. It's not going to be Mahmoud. It's not going to be anybody else. It has to become we as a society. Where do we want to go?
Excellent. That was Mohamud Noor, State Representative Mohamud Noor. And I really want to ask one last thing, and that's its importance. What do you want to tell the communities that you represent? One last word that you would like to get out there and tell them. What will it be?
So representation really matters. The work that we've done, the significant work we've done, we cannot quantify in just one conversation. But it's going to take a significant push from all of us to reach the goals we have in society. And what I'm going to ask you is participate in your political process. I'm actually headed to Chaska to see the community members and engage them to participate in their local level election and elect leaders who are going to serve them. So that means we have to come together in the metro area, in St. Cloud, in Rochester, and many places as one community with one vision that we can all succeed.
Excellent. And just to conclude, some of these issues that we're talking about, like the opioid crisis in our youth and our communities in the state of Minnesota, and I'm talking about, it's not only a unique thing to the Somali community, but everyone.
Correct.
And the only way we can fight this is also it requires funding.
Mm-hmm.
And to get funding, that means you have to be participants in electing the right people so that you can ask them to be able to provide the resources and the places to be able to fight some of this issue and hopefully get over them.
Absolutely. Resource is one component of the issue. The other piece is putting a strategy that is feasible, that we can sustain in the long run. And I think I've got some solution that I'm working on right now. As soon as we're done with this election process, we will come together to start thinking broader in terms of opioid crisis, which is number one on my table because I serve on health and human services at the state and the committee. So that means I do have a significant role to play to bring these issues forward, and I think we can do it.
Wow, that's amazing. And that you mentioned that opioid. I mean, that is one thing that has really got me as a father.
Mm-hmm.
A father of four, your father. And we see kids who are dying, and it's important to be out there. And I thank you for your leadership on that. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I hope some of that solution that you're going to have next time, we're going to continue this conversation.
Absolutely.
And really share it out with everyone, and so that we can have everybody hands on deck. That's Mohamud Noor's quote.
Yeah.
Hands on deck. So everyone can be on this, so we can be able to save these young women, a young man who who are dying. Thank you so much. This is Haji Yussuf. I have a phone call coming in, but this is a free conversation. Thank you. This is Haji Yussuf with the Main Wire. Thank you, Mohamud Noor.
Thank you. And everybody, be safe, be careful as we deal with the pandemic, but also take care of our kids who are struggling with the distance learning, with the hybrid learning, and everything else starting in the next few days. Absolutely.
And that's another conversation we're going to have.
Another day.
He's got to go. He's got work to do. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you, Mohamud.
Thank you.
You are, it seems, a man of many skills. A rare combination.